If I were to ask you what the biggest, how do they frame this? Concerning weaknesses or flaws for 2025 NFL playoff teams. This is from Aaron Schatz of ESPN.com, who I believe is one of the Football Outsiders patriarchs back in the day. Analytics guy, probably, right?
Oh, no, yeah. I want to say he invented DVOA.
DVOA. He's the patriarch of DVOA. That's right. You're right. You're right about that. What if I were to ask you that, your biggest concern or the biggest flaw or weakness in the Houston Texans as we sit on Week 18? What is
this? Is scoring points, like scoring more than 24 points. That would be the one. Now, if I were
within the unit that is
within that offense. This is where it gets tough and difficult.
You're on the right side of the ball.
I know. And then they're going to say offensive line. I know it.
That's exactly what he says.
Yeah. And this is where it gets difficult because people either want to say that the Texans' offensive line sucks or no, they're actually one of the best in the league this year. No, they're better than they were last year, even without Laremy Tunsil.
Yep.
Look, lo and behold, even though they got rid of their best offensive linemen, they're better as a unit this year in a lot of respects. But they're also, part of it is that, CJ's not getting sacked nearly as often. They're not getting tackled for a loss as badly. Things where they have improved and they're more consistent, but they're still not a force as an offensive line. And it really shows up in the red zone. Really shows up in the red zone. Yeah. They're not moving bodies. They're not handling people. And in pass protection, a lot of it is that they're getting rid of the ball really quickly. Mm-hmm. CJ's gotten rid of the ball way faster this year than he had in his previous 2 years. When Davis Mills was in, he was getting rid of the ball at Tua Tagovailoa levels, which is super
very
fast.
Yeah, very fast.
So they've improved, but it's still not a strength of theirs, and that's where a lot of the weaknesses of the offense comes in. So I'm going to say offensive line. Well, at the same time saying, but listen, hey, all right, guys, they've taken some baby steps. It's not like it was last year.
Yeah, that's what's funny to me because Aaron Schatz is obviously going to have some stats to go with whatever he says. He's a stats guy. He says this one is very clear when he talks about the concerning weakness being the offensive line. And he has some stats here. I'm like, these don't match up with what I feel like I've been seeing in terms of where they rank in the NFL. The percentages are what they are. Some of these percentages, I have no idea what's good and what's bad. I look at where they rank. He says the offensive line ranks 30th in pass block win rate, 55.4%. That does not sound very good. And 32nd in run block win rate.
Yeah.
So in both pass block and run block, they win practically less than any team in the entire NFL. And he says things have not improved over the course of the season. Since Week 10, they're 31st in pass block, and they slightly in run block. So no matter what chunk of this season you take, recently, the season as a whole, whatever, the Texans are considered a bottom 3 offensive line in what are their 2 most important things to do, pass block and run block. And I don't know. I watched an offensive line last year that felt like one that was 30th in everything.
Here's what's going on this year in a lot of ways is that they're doing a better job of managing their situation and their personnel, and they're hamstrung a little bit because of their offensive line and their tight ends as blockers. So that CJ is taking the less worse option a lot of times. He's throwing the ball away. He's not taking sacks or making sacks worse.
Yeah.
He's getting rid of the ball quickly when he can on first down, so they're at least moving the line of scrimmage forward. So they're doing this opposite of a really good defense. They have a good defense on the other side of the ball. And they've been able to maintain there was a graphic I saw yesterday of the amount of time that teams have spent with a lead in football games. They're second.
Yeah.
Without really having blown many teams out at all, or really even felt comfortable in the fourth quarter. They've been maintaining leads for a long stretch of time. So they're playing it very close to the vest in terms of, all right, we don't need to be super aggressive. We need to just manage things. We'll take the L's when they come, but we just need to take care of the football and soak up time of possession. And they've been doing a good job of that. But offensive line, they'd be scoring in the red zone. They're the third worst red zone offense right now.
I think that's my biggest concern for the Texans heading into the postseason is it feels like, especially against good teams, or even average teams, but average certainly going to be playing good teams in the playoffs, there is a formula to how they do things, and I've not seen them stray much from that formula. The Jacksonville game in Week 10 is a complete outlier for the Texans, where they fell way behind and had this furious comeback.
Yeah.
And they were able to complete it. And that was with Davis Mills at quarterback. Largely, the formula is get a lead, don't do anything stupid on offense, let the defense bring the ship into the shore, and that's where I always get a little I feel like we make a lot of comparisons to the Patriots because they brought in some Patriots people here.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing about the Patriots back in the day is they could win a Super Bowl 34-28, and then a year later or whatever it was, they could win one 13-3.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern is, okay, if you get thrown off what the game script is for the 2025 Houston Texans, especially on the road, then what? Because that Jacksonville game was here. If they fall behind, because I think we saw that the one game that got a little out of reach for them this year that they lost was that Seattle game.
That's exactly the one that I was going to bring up.
And they fell behind by 2 touchdowns.
And you can't you can't win a game where if you could score 28 points. Now the Seattle, that's a really good defense at home. So the early drives by the Texans defense that they allowed, despite playing a pretty good game throughout, but they got caught in that game also defensively. That was one where you could really see, all right, if you have any kind of, if the defense doesn't play a perfect game, but you put them in a bad situation, the offense didn't seem to have any answers for how to come up with it. But they had over this 8-game win streak, they've scored more than 24 points twice in that time.
Jacksonville and Arizona.
Yeah, and Arizona was Arizona.
Yeah.
So this is why to have a really good stretch to have a good run in the playoffs, the defense is likely going to have to play out of their brains, which they're capable of doing. And offensively, they just need to be able to do what they've been able to do in some of these games, which is play boring football. It's going to be super uncomfortable in the second half, but first downs on this team this year, a couple of first downs on a drive, if you have a lead, feels like a field goal drive.
Yeah.
You just kind of, you have to reset your expectations.
This paragraph here in Aaron Schatz's explanation, I'm curious your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Because he brings up a couple of potential opponents here for the Texans. Now, one, they won't face unless they win and they get to the second round, and even then they might not face them there. But he says this, in addition, tackle Ariante Ursary and left guard Titus Howard are among the most penalized players in the league. It's going to be an issue in the postseason against fierce pass rushes like those of the Broncos and possibly the Steelers, who each rank in the top 5 for pass rush win rate. I know you've gone back and forth on this Ravens-Steelers potential opponent.
A lot of this is the thing. This is the conundrum for the Steelers and which team I would want the Texans to play. It's that the Ravens have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has not been himself over the course of the second half of the season. But if he, with a week of rest, maybe got his body right, I know the ceiling of Lamar Jackson is way higher than the ceiling of Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
That's what scares me. But the Ravens defense, which has played really well over the course of the second half of the season, they're much different than when the Texans faced them. They don't have as many brutally physical and tough grown men on their defensive line as the Steelers do. Mm-hmm. And that's been what has really hurt this offense at times is, they got a bunch of full-grown Cam Haywards on the other side of the ball.
T.J. Watt, Highsmith, Cam Hayward, and other guys.
Travis Hunter is the one guy who's kind of a full-grown man on that Ravens front.
Travis Jones.
Yeah, excuse me.
Travis Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Travis Hunter.
That'd be awesome if Jacksonville decided to put him on the.
And so the matchup. I think I'd rather face the Ravens. I think that you got a better chance of the Texans' offense being able to do the things they want to do versus the Ravens.
Yeah, boy, that's you see you're. I don't know who to. I honestly, my indecision right now is right where you've kind of been all week, going back and forth on this.
And I'm a punk and a coward because there's a part of me that doesn't want to make this decision until after the Texans have already played this weekend and after the Sunday night game is over, where we see what exactly Lamar Jackson looks like.
Totally. I was really hoping that Ravens-Steelers game was going to land in the same time slot or maybe Saturday night. And then we would kind of know what the deal was going into going into Sunday.
Lamar Jackson's had a whole bunch of games in the second half of the season where he's completing 50% of his passes.
Yeah, the whole key, you nailed it. The whole key, is he still banged up?
Yeah.
That's the whole key. Like, has he been able to heal enough to be vintage Lamar Jackson?
They hung 40-plus points on the Bills early in the season. The injuries start mounting up, and he's just a different guy.
Yep. So that's, offensive line, biggest concern.
Also, the Ravens, that's the other, the Ravens have, Todd Monken just flat out, he got the message finally and said, all right, okay, yeah, we do have that Derrick Henry fella. We're gonna ride him into the dirt.
Did you see that cut yesterday? Yeah, he's like, we're just gonna keep giving the ball to Henry. Great shows, guys. As with all playoff games next week, Texans normally play on Saturday, but with the Bucs or the Panthers in, they'll probably get the Saturday afternoon game. Where do you think the Texans' time slot will fall? I've said this for the entire week. The odds are the Texans are going to be the 5 seed playing the winner of the Ravens and the Steelers. Yeah. That's just math. The Monday night game is always a 4 versus 5 game because it's the game that least impacts travel and the matchup. Like the 2-7 and the 3-6 games.
Yeah.
The winners of if the lower teams win, it throws everything into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's won those games by, if you put them all on Saturday and Sunday, you know who's won all those games. The 4 versus 5 games impact the sturdiness of the schedule, the least games. And I'm with this texter. I think the Panthers, whoever wins that Panthers Bucks NFC South division, I think that's going to be the Saturday afternoon game. The Texans, and even more so the Ravens or Steelers, that's sexier.
Yeah, we have a lot. Yeah, that's
admittedly it's the AFC North winner that's driving the marquee value.
Right. But the Texans defense has been the darling of the media this entire season.
Yes.
When you start talking about TV promos and everything, there's a lot to bite into there. That's a lot of good old school Steelers versus the new kid on the block. They're playing Steeler football better than the Steelers are.
What highlight, if it's a 15-second promo for Steelers Texans or Ravens Texans, what Texan highlight is the biggest lock to show up in that promo from this season?
From the Ravens game?
No. Which Texans defensive highlight from this entire season shows up on that promo? There's only one right answer.
Oh, so it's something obvious.
Jalen Petrie.
Oh, the
turning
Jalen Petrie
Rasheed
hit.
Rice.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Into Jello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a legal hit.
That's a lock.
A legal, non-fined hit.
That is
so they won't have any kind of ethical conundrum of using it to advertise.
That's right. None of this old NFL Films videos where it's like, hey, greatest concussions in the NFL.
That's the other thing, too, about that one. And the reason that hit will really live on, it's not just that it was a great hit, but because it was a primetime game, you've got like 9 different camera angles of it.
Oh, yeah.
So you can do a 30-second montage of that hit alone.
Yes.
With time.
Yep.